We will now take up Senate Bill 2316 by Senator Murray. Senator Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As all of you on this committee know, my passion and enthusiasm for Rhode Island Works and expanding this program and trying to make it better. So I'll just try to be brief. I know it's been a long night already. This bill does several things. The first thing that it does, and I've been working on this for 4 years, we just can't seem to do it for some reason, and hopefully this year will be the year. It allows parents on Rhode Island Works to attend 2 years at CCRI. So currently, the Rhode Island Works parents can attend only 1 year at CCRI without additional activities. In the second year, they have to add a 20-hour work week requirement if mom wants to continue her education while keeping Rhode Island Works benefits. So this means that she's not only required to attend college while raising a family, but also work. You know, we know that jobs that require post-secondary degree or certification are projected to grow faster than jobs requiring a high school diploma or less. We know that working people with associate's degrees have a higher median weekly earnings per week and a lower unemployment numbers compared with people with a high school diploma alone. So I think this is a really important component. Another thing that it does is it extends the lifetime benefit limit from 48 months to 60 months. So federal law allows the states to provide for 60 months. We're one of only 11 states that do not have a limit that is less than 60 months. So when families reach that 48-month limit, they have to file an application for hardship benefits, to keep their assistance and work readiness services. So most families do file for hardship to extend the lifetime limit to 60, and we just talked about staffing, and especially considering the staffing issues at DHS, if we simply extend these benefits to 60 months, it would significantly reduce the stress and hardship on those families who have to worry when they're, when that 48 months is coming, and, are they going to be able to renew? Are they going to get renewed? And, where's their benefits going to come from? And it will also ease the process for the DHS staff and would help in that respect. And finally, the most important part, which is raising the benefit. And I'm very, very relieved and grateful that the General Assembly finally raised that payment rate to families last year, because our state had previously allowed this program to languish without an increase of cash assistance or a cost of living adjustment for 3 decades. So while I am very grateful about last year's increase, we just really need to make a long-term commitment to continue to support these families and children. And an increase in cash assistance, as well as a cost of living adjustment, prevents the loss of value of the Rhode Island Works monthly benefit over time. So we lifted these families from 30% of the federal poverty level to 40%, and because of inflation, they're already back down to 37%, and it hasn't even been a year. We've all been hit hard by inflation. Basic need item for families have increased significantly. When children live in poverty, it causes toxic stress for these children, and those living in deep poverty are more likely to have health, behavioral, social, learning disabilities that they carry into adulthood. Their children who live in poverty are more likely to earn less as adults and be unemployed more frequently. So we really can't allow this program to languish again. If we're truly serious about having this program serve as a launch pad for independence, then it needs to actually supply the supports parents realistically need to gain employment. And so I think all of these components are really important for both children and parents furthering their education. It provides what this program is supposed to provide for these families. And just to note that Rhode Island receives $95 million roughly in federal TANF funds through the block grant. In 2020, Rhode Island spent about $22 million in TANF funds on basic assistance, which is only 4% of that total. Nationally, about 22% of the block grant was spent on basic assistance. So we have the money, we need to do better by these families. We can't keep coming back year after year and giving them a little bit here and a little bit there. Like I said, if we are serious about this program being a launch pad to success, then we need to make sure that we provide those things that will enable these families to survive and also to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator, and thank you for your advocacy on this issue. It is not without notice, and especially to me. But also, I know we didn't get all the way there, but I know last year we were able to get a lot done in this space, and I look forward to continuing working with you on that. We do have several individuals trying to testify. Again, I'll just ask if people to be as concise as you possibly can so we can make it through the evening and hear from everyone. I'll call the first three witnesses, Mary Pendergast with Sisters of Mercy in Pawtucket, Linda Katz with the Economic Progress Institute, and Paige Clausius Park with Rhode Island Kids Count. Welcome to Senate Finance, and Mary, we'll start off with you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you much, Linda.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Linda Katz. I'm the Policy Director at the Economic Progress Institute, and I want to express my deep thanks to Senator Murray for her passion and her leadership in trying to improve the Rhode Island Works program. You did a great job, of course, explaining the bill, so I'm not going to repeat those pieces. I will add, I'll just make a couple of remarks. One, increasing the time limit from 48 months to 60 months is really a no-brainer. It costs virtually nothing. 95% of the families that reach the 48-month time limit submit an application for hardship benefits. That can interrupt getting the cash. It can interrupt their employment plan. DHS is starving for staff, and so whatever we can do to make things easier is good. On the post-secondary education, just want to mention I'm here not only for EPI, but also representing the Raising Rhode Island Coalition, which is comprised of 50 social service, religious, advocacy organizations that support improving the Rhode Island Works program. There's testimony that you have in your packets from a variety of the coalition members. I would refer you on the issue of toxic stress to the testimony of Dr. Lang from the Rhode Island Medical Society, which should scare all of us when we read it. And on the issue of the allowing parents to have work to participate in a CCRI program for 2 years, I just want to, you'll see in your packet testimony of Kristen O'Malley, who was a TANF recipient 20 years ago, fleeing an abusive relationship. She took advantage of the opportunity then to attend CCRI for 2 years without strict work requirements, because that's what we allowed 20 years ago. Each semester I made the dean's list and graduated with a 4.0 GPA. After graduation, I found employment in a managerial position and earned enough to support my family. So you can, there's some direct testimony from somebody who benefited from being able to go to CCRI. I guess the last piece I'll mention, I just want to talk about the money for a minute, and because, as Senator Murray mentioned, Rhode Island receives $95.6 million in the federal block grant called TANF for Rhode Island Works. In 2021, how was that money spent? We spent $14 million on benefits for the families. We spent $28.8 million on child care assistance for working families who are not getting cash assistance. We spent $8 million on workforce development services for the parents, and we spent $9.2 million went to DCYF. There is absolutely nothing wrong with using a chunk of the block grant to support the child care assistance program for working families. But there is something very wrong in the fact that the state, since 2007 and 2009, has not put a penny of general revenue funds, not a penny for for Rhode Island Works since 2009, and only the bare minimum that we need to put in general revenue to secure federal funds. So we have abdicated our responsibility to children and to working families by refusing to put general revenue funds into the bucket to support both the families getting cash assistance and the child care assistance program. So it's time to reverse that trend. It's time to prioritize the use of the TANF dollars for the children and families that it is designed to support. And it is also time to make sure that we put in general revenue funds in addition to whatever federal funds are available to support both the child care assistance program and TANF and the Rhode Island Works program if we need it. Thank you.
Linda, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Paige?
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Paige Clausius Park, Senior Policy Analyst at Rhode Island Kids Count. We'd like to voice our strong support for Senate Bill 2316 and extend our thanks to Senator Murray for your strong leadership in this area and for all the co-sponsors, and all of whom are in this room right now. So thank you so much for your support. Just to share some facts and information around who our beneficiaries are of Rhode Island Works. So in December of 2020, there were 4,121 children under the age of 18 enrolled in Rhode Island Works, and 75% of Rhode Island Works beneficiaries were children. So when we're thinking about this program and who it benefits, I hope you are picturing our children in Rhode Island. This is who this program is for. We strongly support cutting the lifetime benefit limit to 60 months and also the increase of the monthly benefit, to which Senator Murray so wonderfully described that importance. The provision of an additional 12 months of vocational training. My written testimony includes a chart. You know we love charts. So that chart shows you that in December of 2020, 29% of our families were participating in education and training programs. So we really want to encourage our families to continue on for that second year of vocational training. This will allow them to get and keep a job that provides a family-sustaining wage. Senator Acosta, you asked a question about the funding and how much general revenue is contributed to this program. So that's an indicator that we actually include and track in our annual Rhode Island Kids Count fact book. So I have some information to share with you on that. So the total expenditures for cash assistance in Rhode Island, including federal and state funding for cash assistance, has decreased by 81% between 1996 and 2020. So we are Rhode Island. We like to talk about the way things used to be. So in 1996, the way it used to be was $68.5 million of federal funds was put into the cash assistance program and $58 million in state general revenue. We are now down to $24.1 million in federal and $0 in state general revenue. In our state fiscal year of 2020, again, we only spent 14% of that total TANF federal program. That's compared to 22% spent in most other states, and it's a really small portion of what our federal funds allow us to use. So we really appreciate the improvements this committee has made to the Rhode Island Works program in the past, but we need to continue on with that progress. These changes are long overdue, and they will greatly impact the families who are most vulnerable. Thank you.
Paige, thank you very much for your testimony tonight. Much appreciated. Senator Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all so much for your testimony. And I just want to, something I didn't state before was also that this program is a lifeline for domestic abuse survivors as well. But when going back to that, that the state hasn't put in any money, and we allocate some of these TANF funds for Rhode Island Works, and we allocate some of these TANF funds for child support. And what we're basically doing by not funding that with any state contribution is we are making working families and families in poverty fight for the same dollar. So I just wanted to point that out, and thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to bring up, I'm making some of these names wrong, Jonathan DeJesus from Progressive Latino with support. Thank you. The next person was Virelia Espinoza. I'm not sure if I'm saying the person's first name right. Thank you. Next was Robert Delisle, Rhode Island Medical Society, written testimony and support only. And the last is Pablo Pihares, Rhode Island Works CCAP, also in support. Welcome, Pablo. How do you say your last name? Welcome. Welcome to Senate Finance. Just make certain the button's up and the microphone's close to your mouth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, senators, thank you so much. My name is Pablo Pihares. For the past 2 years, I have been a case manager for Rhode Island Works, a CCAP, Comprehensive Community Action Program. I assist families with the supportive services they need while working toward independence. I am currently working with 43 families. In my job, I have daily direct experience with the urgent need for increased financial support for Rhode Island Works families. I am here to speak in support of Senate Bill number S-2316, introduced by Senator Melissa Murray. Thank you. I am motivated to address this committee regarding this bill by the struggle I see families going through every day. This bill proposes raising the benefits level of the Rhode Island Works programs to 50% of the federal poverty limit. I strongly support this proposal. Last year, the benefit limit was increased. This was a help, but families are still struggling. I talk with families every day who are unable to meet their needs for food or other necessities. The stress of not being able to meet their children's needs is heartbreaking to parents. I see many cases of mental health issues related to economic stress. In addition to an increase in the benefits amount, this bill proposes that there's be adjustment each year for cost of living. This is very important. We can already see that the last year's benefits increase was eaten away by inflation. These are our children. This is our future. Investing in these families is an investment in our community. I would also like to support increasing the time limit on Rhode Island Works from 48 to 60 months. A majority of other states have the 60-month limit. It is time for us to do that as well. Having a 48-month limit and having to apply for hardship, if that limit is reached, is one more stress for my clients. It involves having to prove that they should be given extra time and not knowing if the application will be granted. We should spare families the unnecessary added stress that involves. The 12 additional months being available will be a major relief to the families I am working with. Please give priority to these families. They need these changes. Their current situation and their future will be better when you pass this bill. I would like to close by reading part of a letter I received this week from one of my hard-working families. I quote, "Good afternoon, Pablo. You believed in me. When the entire world turned against me. Pablo, you gave me hope and opened doors for me to discover who I truly was meant to be. You are one of the reasons I am who I am today, and I want to thank you for that with my entire heart and soul. This comprehensive community action program and Rhode Island Works and DHS really do help change people's life." End quote. Please pass the bill and let these families thrive. Thank you so much.
Pablo, thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony tonight, and most importantly, thank you for sharing the feedback from one of the folks with whom you worked. Obviously, It makes all the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I speak directly on the bill, I need to apologize to the Chief of PR for DHS, Jose Garcia, who introduced himself to me earlier. And I've been so wound up with my anger and frustration about this bill and about the GHS child care bonus that I was pretty dismissive. So I'm sorry, brother. Hope we can. Didn't mean to shoot the messenger. It just happened. It was a coincidence that I was reading something today on the proliferation of bills related to background checks. And I read a footnote that led me to a citation that led me to an article by Joe Sauce et al. From 2008 titled The Color of Devolution, Race, Federalism, and Politics, and the Politics of Social Control. What this article does is it looks at variations in TANF implementation across the United States. Because the federal government allows states to implement TANF differently, it is a kind of natural way to compare how it is that states prioritize different things. We talked a little bit about the 48 months versus the 60 months. What Sauce et al. Developed is what they call a racial classification model. They argue that policymakers seek to create policy designs that will be effective for specific target groups based on our cognition. It is natural to group people together. And so we start thinking about people as groups. This could be a good thing or a bad thing. What they find is that across the country, there's a correlation between increases in the black population and decreases or implementation of stricter measures for access to benefits. Now, it's not surprising to me then, when we think about how Rhode Island has over time defunded and made its contribution essentially nothing, that at the same time, demographically, we were growing more and more non-white. Now, whether or not policymakers chose to do that intentionally, the reality is that that bears out in the data. And so while I'm very proud that so many of my colleagues and so many people here are in support of this, we have to continue to fight this cognitive bias problem of how people think about poor people. Americans hate poor people, and they tend to group them along racial lines. And we need to have a real conversation about that, because there are a lot of white people on these benefits too. And everybody who's on these benefits is also American. And so until we confront that, we're not going anywhere. But this whole idea of the free rider, spend a month living in Gallagher. Spend a month living with your family of 3 off $700 and change. Even if you did nothing, it is not the dream that you think it is. It is not the walk in the park that you think it is. And if you do, I invite you, come to my district anytime. I think it invokes a very emotional response for a lot of people. I'm done crying. I told you at the beginning of this, I am angry. I wake up angry every day. I didn't cry when we had to sleep in the car at night. I didn't cry when we moved 7 times in 5 years. It made me angry. And now y'all have to deal with that because you made that. Our country, our state made that. Y'all made me, and we're making kids like this. It is our choice to have over 8,000 people live in poverty. That's a choice. We've chosen not to invest a cent in it. And now it's our responsibility to choose different. Because not everybody's gonna cry, and not everybody's gonna sit up here and articulate it the way I am. I can't be the only angry person out there, I guarantee it. But it's not surprising to me that as our General Assembly became more diverse and had more gender parity, that all of a sudden we started implementing better welfare reforms. And so today, as I thought back to the fact that I'm the only male of color in the General Assembly Senate side, it made me angry. It made me angry that we're not accessing the full benefit for these families. And at some point, they're not going to be knocking, asking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Murray, wrap up. All set? Senator Murray, motion to...
Motion to hold.
Motion made by Senator Murray, second by Senator 70. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Senator, thank you very much.